Hey everybody, how you guys doing today? It's Griffin at it again with another video. Today we're going to be doing something a little more serious, a little more personal. Um, Wanted to talk about something that seems and is definitely a really big problem, um, not only in our country but all around the world. And I just wanted to give my take on it. One of the biggest things is unfortunately it's not coronavirus. It's actually it's depression, man. And what does it really look like? Um, and I'm gonna give you some really good advice on it. It's a very sensitive topic because a lot of people don't really like talking about it. I'm really skeptical about talking about it because there's two different sides and there's a lot of stigma from it. So it's kind of difficult to really choose one side or the other. Anyway, we'll just get straight into it, straight to the point. Depression will manifest itself in many different ways. Um, a lot of times takes onset through a lot of really bad past experiences. Um, a bad breakup, a family member dying, um, it's something really small like that, and it kind of just takes on a life of its own. Um, where with the death of a family member, grief, um, the person having a problem with relationships, not just I'm not talking about dating. I'm talking about just in general relationships, like relationships with people, friends, family, stuff like that. And if they have a problem with being alone and then a member of their family that they're close to dies, then they have a problem with letting go of that. And what really happens with all that is when they really don't know how to let go of it, they point the finger at themselves and tell themselves, oh, well, if I had done this, maybe they would still be alive. Or if I had done that, maybe if I had loved them more, they'd still be alive. But that's not actually the case. Um, so what really happens is the grief transforms itself and it consumes you, and you lose part of your identity in the process. And the grief will turn to anger, and the anger will turn to frustration, uh, lashing out, change in behavior, change in attitude, until eventually you become someone completely different entirely. Um, you'll try to find a way to put the blame on someone that it's easy to put the blame on rather than having to face the actual reality of what the problem is. Um, and the problem isn't you; it's your inability to be able to let go and work through some things. Um, I had the opportunity. I'm just using these two. There are many different manifests that can happen in your life, whether it's abuse in a relationship, abuse with parents, just getting hurt over and over and over and over again. That there's a lot of many different ways that it can really take place, and like the most common is sexual assault. Um, and it's really sad. It really is because speaking from experience, lost a family member and had a really bad breakup almost within days of each other. And so everything that I just described to you is pretty much what happened to me. I lost my identity, didn't really find it until almost 20 years later. And then once I actually became who I am now, I kind of regretted it because I was actually starting to live. And I had just wasted 20 years of my life sitting around making mistakes, getting with the wrong people, doing the wrong things, hanging out with the wrong people. Um, where if I had been in the mindset that I am now, I would have never have made those choices. But life is about learning and about evolving from those things. Um, someone that's really, really good at hiding depression, you probably won't even know they're depressed because they'll just hide it. And they're really, really good at hiding it because, and it's not that they're trying to keep secrets from you. It's the fact that it's easier for them to hide it from you than it is to talk about it. Um, Talking about it means you actually have to deal with it. So they act like it doesn't happen or it's not a problem, and they never have to deal with it. Um, and then there comes the idea of suicide. Over the last 5 to 10 years, we've lost a lot of really good people to suicide, and it's a tragedy, and a lot of veterans that you know go overseas and go into combat, come back and end up taking their own life, and that's really, really unfortunate that they would sacrifice everything and then end up taking their own life. And we hear about people taking their own life all the time, but we never really understand why. No one ever takes a second to understand why. Why did they do this? Why did they do that? I never thought they would do that. Here's the thing. You can't think about it because you didn't see it. And a lot of times, people that suffer depression, they want someone to see it so they can call them out on it rather than them having to initiate the conversation. But it never happens because they get so good at covering it up, so nobody ever knows. Nobody pays attention to some of the signs. But suicide is just a thing. Like Chester Bennington, lead singer of Linkin Park, who committed suicide back in 2017, was on family vacation with his family. Told his wife he was going home to do a TV commercial. The next time she saw him, she was identifying the body. So, and she stated that he was really, really happy with his family. So, and that she never thought anything like that was going on. So you don't really know. It's just kind of a decision-making process. And the question of why is more of a why or why not type of thing. When somebody says, oh, well, they killed themselves, oh, well, they're a coward. Doesn't necessarily make them a coward. It just makes them, they wanted help and nobody would help them. Um, like I said, it's very delicate, very complicated. A lot of people, the one thing that suicide has in common with each and every person is the reason why they did it. They didn't do it because they were a coward. They didn't do it because they didn't want to deal with the problem. They did it because they didn't want to feel any more pain. They didn't want to feel the way that they were. Suicide is not a solution to dealing with your pain because all you do is cause the people around you more pain. I'll give you an example. If I was to be going through a really, really rough time right now, me killing myself would not only end my life, but it would probably destroy the lives of multiple peoples in the process. There's the immediate family. My 1-year-old would grow up without a dad. There's no telling. He had become adjusted and very, very attached to me. So him growing up without that and just having that abruptly taken away from him is going to cause behavior problems, which are going to lead to, eventually are going to lead to even bigger problems. So in the process of all that, I would have pretty much ruined his life just because I wanted to make a decision that I thought was going to be best for me. And it's like that in every single situation. People that take their life, there's always people around them that care about them, that love them, that want to be there for them. But it's really, it sucks, man. It really does. Robin Williams is probably one of the funniest guys I know. Same thing. What does depression look like? Every single person, Chester Bennington, and anybody that knew Chester and had been following for a long time knew he had problems with depression. You could tell he had problems with depression by the songs. Robin Williams, I had no idea. Okay, a lot of people had no idea because it was his way of coping with it, with acting and stand-up comedy that he used to do. He was using that as an outlet to be able to deal with it. I use a different outlet to deal with mine. I like to stay busy and do multiple things at a time and always staying busy, always moving, always doing something productive. So that helps me deal and work through mine. And if it gets to a point to where I can't deal with it, I have a lot of people that I can reach out to and talk to about it. Um, what does depression look like? It looks like pure happiness, because you never know if somebody suffers from depression until they tell you. And the chances of somebody telling you varies from person to person. If a person wants to be open and transparent, then they'll tell you. If they don't and they're really self-conscious about it, then they won't tell you. They'll just act like everything's okay, like they're just the perfect person, and try to be the best that they can because they don't want to let it hold them down. This is the reason why you should treat every single day like it's the last time you're going to see someone. Every time I grab the kiddo and we go do something, people always say, oh, well, you're spoiling him, taking him on all these trips and doing this and doing that. I'm not spoiling him. I'm treating every single time that I have him as if it's going to be the last time. I want to live every single day with him and anyone that I'm around like it's the last day. If you live life like that, then you're going to cherish every single moment you have. And that's how you should live life. You shouldn't live life being afraid. You shouldn't live life any other way. Don't take it for granted. Just live it at your best. When people need to be their best, they can. When people are at their worst, they're looking for someone to accept them at their worst. If you're willing to accept them at their worst, you're willing to accept them at their best. There's no greater feeling in the world than being down at your worst, to have somebody come up and tell you it's going to be all right. Because it is. Things may seem bad and they may seem dark, but eventually the lights come on and you'll see the way. Suicide is not the way. By no means. How does suicide actually start? How does a person go from being the upbeat, nice, down-to-earth person they are to committing suicide? What's the process of it? Well, first, there's something that triggers a really, really big spill of depression. It can be the smallest thing. You go for a little bit, then you're just sad and appetite changes, small behavior changes, something that a normal person wouldn't notice, but that you yourself would notice. And then the big changes start hitting. You start thinking about dying. Not about killing yourself, just about dying. We call these thoughts of death. This is the first sign. When you start thinking about, wanting to die and not caring about dying, that's when you should be a little concerned. Talk to someone, a family member, a friend. There's so many resources out there right now. I'm going to link some of those resources in the description. For anyone that wants to use it, I urge you, please, 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 please use these resources, man. You can DM me on Twitter. You can freaking Facebook me. I don't care. Just say something and say, hey, I'm so-and-so. You don't know me, but I'm having a rough time with blah, 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 and this is how I'm feeling. Just say something, bro. I've got no problem in talking to somebody. After you start having the feelings of the thoughts of dying, then you'll start thinking about what happens after you die, the peace you would get from that. And then you start comparing the peace you would get from dying to the way you live your life now, and pretty much start weighing your options. Which is better, staying alive and dealing with this shit now, or just dying and finally being at peace and all of it being over? You probably tell yourself no because you don't have the courage to do it. Until one day something just happens, you go through a spill of depression, it pushes you over the edge, and then it's too late. It's just easier and better for you and better for your loved ones and the people around you that when you start feeling thoughts of death and thoughts of dying, to just reach out and talk to someone. Everybody will sit there and tell you, I would rather spend 45 minutes listening to someone's story about them wanting to kill themselves and being able to talk to them and them not kill themselves than to spend 15 minutes making a video on why you shouldn't. It's so much better. And life isn't easy. It sucks. I get it. Trust me. I have 2 kids I can't see. Not because I'm a bad father, but because I'm a bad man or anything like that. But because the people that have them think that they're just better off without. Kills me every day. But worrying and wallowing in it and letting it consume you is only going to hinder yourself and what your true potential is. I hope this has been really informative for you guys. If it is, like the video, and let's go ahead and share it. Let's start sharing this video so we can get this out, man, because depression and suicide it's a very serious thing, and it deserves a lot of attention. So we should be able to take the time to be able to give it the attention that it needs, especially for our veterans that have sat there and sacrificed everything for us. Why can't we do the same for them? Until next time, man. Peace.